this drugs world is really is really a very dominant thing in the world, I think. And I'm talking about it now because I read about what the cartels in Mexico are doing these days. They're no longer just shooting each other. They're basically sending letters to head teachers saying, give us a list of all your teachers with an income higher than such and such amount. Then we want to have half of their income, unless, and if we don't, we will kill some children. And they actually do that. They kidnap children and they kill them in order to demonstrate how dominant they are, how capable they are. Basically as a sign of the impunity with which they can move and do things. They're extorting people and families and schools for the lives of their children. Journalists are being gutted, are being disemboweled and hang out to dry, tortured in a horrendous way in Mexico right now because of the drugs wars and because people don't want you to write about it. They don't want you to tweet about it or put anything in the media. And you know what that drug war is for and what it is about and where the money goes. You know that because you probably have followed Mad Max, or not Mad Max, that's something else I wanted to say, but Max Kaiser. And he posted articles about the fact that the Wachovia Bank of Buffett, Warren Buffett, and his friend the Grinch, is actually laundering that money. But we knew it before. In 2008, the only cash flow in the banking system was drugs money coming from Afghanistan. And it's such a weird thing because, you know, almost every country in the world is involved in some kind of criminal activity, whether it's mining uranium without caring about the people that walk around in Niger, they're all radioactive now, or it's growing heroin in Afghanistan, or Holland, we have the ecstasy trade. We basically import the raw materials for ecstasy from China, and then we turn it into ecstasy and we export it to Europe. Of course, we don't do it officially, it's our criminals that do that, but the cash flow flows through Holland, and I'm not sure, we have bribe and we call it smeergeld, which is money to oil to grease the wheels. You just have to, you can put it on your tax return. Here, my tax return, I've received 10,000 to grease the wheels. It's allowed. And so we have a piece of the drug action, we have the ecstasy action. Of course, we have lots of marijuana as well. But other countries have different drugs. And the Russians were complaining after the US attacked Afghanistan because the poppy growth came back and it produced lots of heroin, and that all came to Russia. And the Americans, their excuse is such bullshit. They say, well, you know, we really cannot affect those farmers, but they're not only not keeping them from doing their work, they're giving them fertilizer and all the things they need. And when did the US ever start to worry about these people? You know, let them do what they want or find their own way, but don't give them money to grow poppies. That's ridiculous. They make an enormous amount of money for that. So Russia was a little bit fed up with the heroin flowing into the country, addicting all its youth. And so what happened was that suddenly there were plagues in the poppy fields. So they got some kind of mold and they didn't grow that well. And that's like bio-warfare, a very dangerous kind, because once you get some type of rot, like there's also a rot in wheat and there's a rot in other crops. These are kind of mold things, and they simply kill the plant. Once countries start fighting with that, or let's say, and of course you have to be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, because you have to deny the fact that the banking system runs on all the drugs money, even though you can find it in a UN report. And just to prove that, I have to look one up, and I'll try to find it for you, but it is in there because a guy from the UN told me. See, you have to live, but if you look at it that way, if you look at it like a geo-warfare, economical warfare, so what's the US doing in Afghanistan? Amongst others, it was basically undermining the youth in Russia, and their controllability. So what happened? The Russians then, you know, your theory is that the Russians then put in a mold to kill the poppies, which is easy because they have natural enemies and you just have to multiply them and test them for potency, and then you throw them into the fields. That's also done in South America. There are also fields of hemp and all these other crap have been sprayed with little types of organisms that happen to kill these plants. And so the British are now complaining that they have to grow their own poppies in England in order to supply the medical industry, because they say, well, we want that drugs from Afghanistan because we are supplying our medical industry with it. We make opiates from it, but also codeine, which is a very important drug, they say. Now codeine, and I hope you can follow me, and it has been a long day and long week for me too, but codeine is the basic substance for the most horrible drug you can imagine, which is spread in a new type of fashion, which I talked about today with somebody. But you know, if you have real drugs like opium, you have to grow the plant and you have to transport blah blah blah. But if you have synthetic drugs, then you only have to spread the concept of them, the idea that it's possible, that they exist. Like somebody tells you, you can really, if you smoke, if you dry lettuce and you smoke it, it's such a trip, it's really amazing. Or it's very good for your potency, you have lots of babies. Some bullshit like that. Well, crocodile is a synthetic drug. It's made from codeine, which is a painkiller made out of opiates, which is readily available over the country, and Putin is going to stop the readily availability in about half a year or something like that. So not immediately. No, really, he must have made a deal, because otherwise he would have done it immediately. A deal against strong resistance. But so you take codeine and you do something with it, you put it into some kind of acid or some kind of base or whatever, and you have a chemical, and you inject that chemical into your veins, and you get a huge trip, and you die. So the side effect. And you don't die, let's say, of heart attack, but your flesh dies. It falls off your bones. So people's face fall apart, people's arms, bones stick out. It's like the most horrendous thing. You use it for 3 months and you're just disfigured, an invalid for life. And it is also based on opium, on poppies, poppy-based material. It is not a direct attack through heroin, it's an indirect attack through the availability of codeine and a meme that you can have a synthetic drug. There's another, let's say, the counter-attack, you could call it, or let's say the insane actuality in the US is bath salts. So they're called bathing salts because they're crystals. They are, I'm not sure what they are, but they're synthetic drugs again. So they're made and they're put in little bags and they're sold over the counter for very little money. People take them and become suicidal maniacs and murderers from taking them. It's a kind of speed, but it's synthetic, so it might have pollutants, and it's neurotoxin, and it screws up your mind so that you become hyperactive, hyperthermic, and you start trying to shoot yourself. Very tragic cases of that have been reported lately, and the stuff is widely available. That type of, I don't think that, well, bath salts obviously is a trade. It's something that somebody makes money off, and then the percentage of the people that take it, and they, of course, they not only become suicidal, but they become aggressive, and they trash the whole place which they are in, and it's damage to their brain, so they have returning hallucinations and returning manias or whatever it is. Bath salts, I'll look into it a little bit more. What I'm telling you now is from a few YouTube videos about it, about what happens. Crocodile and bath salts, that's like, they're meme drugs, you could call them. They are spread by a meme. We have a meme drug in Holland as well. It's BHG or BHG or something like that, HBG, which is a liquid drug. It's not very strong, it's quite mild, but you can make it out of a soda and acid in your stuff that you find in your kitchen, and you can put it together. And the problem with it is addictive, and it is damaging. But you can work, you can have a life, but you are addicted to drinking this liquid all the time. It's a little bit like benzene. I used to, well, when I was young, we of course had, we were fixing our tires from our own bicycles, and you have these little glue tubes, and everybody knows glue sniffing. Well, me and my neighbor friend, we tried it too. I tried to sniff some glue, and we didn't trip or anything. It just knocks you out a little bit. You get a little bit, well, you get sedated basically by it. We didn't do it too long, I hope. I'm not sure, but it's quite clear, of course. It reeks, and it's vile. It has a sweet smell, benzene. You know it from the gas station, and then you get a bit dizzy, and that's your trip, and that's your life is so horrible already because of mismanagement by the government, the inability and the unwillingness of people to stand up for you or your rights, or the unwillingness for people to cooperate to stand up for their rights. So they're not weak, but they're strong. All those organizational things are lacking. So as a result of that, like in Eastern European countries, children are on the street, smoke glue, hopeless. It's and two thoughts about that for the end of this video, and then I think it's enough tragedy. But one of this is that how about the idea that people have become too benign in the 20th century under pressure of the oil cartels and economic boom, which requires cooperative, social, playful people that don't take things too seriously, that just go along with the whole thing of expanding the economy endlessly. That's a selective process. Those people in the West, at least, had nice families and all this stuff, and so they're not really, by nature, they're not really protective. They're not really aggressive about things. They are run. The top of the pyramid is very aggressive, but the average people that have their wealthy life is not very aggressive. You can readily recognize that. Is that an evolutionary process that has been taking place, a selective process in the West? And isn't that now a problem? Because the people are not protecting themselves. They're not aggressive about their safety. They're not alert to it at all. Nobody seems to be too alert about their safety. And the other one is that now I forget it. I'm too stupid. I'm too tired. But 2 ideas. I forgot the second one. But all these cartels, all these people that are desperate and become merciless and are selective, and that is a very good thing to end with, because I forgot to talk about it. But what these cartels also do is organize fights to the death between people that they kidnap. So they kidnap a group of people, they give them machetes and wait who's the last man standing, and then they send that guy on a suicide mission against their enemies as a reward. How insane is that? How long will it be before that type of activity is put online, filmed and bet on for real, real time, in betting dens? How do you know it's not already happening? How do you know also that it's not happening in the army of the US? So if you see all US soldiers being shot at the embassy of Kabul, how do you know? Or you see another movie about a detail fighting somewhere else. How do you know there's no wages on that? How do you know that if war becomes commercial, how do you know it's not an arena actually? Anyway, enough questions. And I would advise myself, I'm going on a self-defense course, and not a benign one, simply boxing and karate and stuff like that. I think I'm gonna like it a lot, because it will make me fit, but it will also make me feel stronger, and I'm still young enough to kick some ass. So, but thanks for listening. Have a good evening.